Colleagues, today I rise to oppose Senate Bill 1171. This is a bill that guts a law that hasn't even taken effect yet. Nearly 400,000 people who told us they could no longer accept that Michigan families, millions of Michigan families, are forced to live paycheck to paycheck just to put food on the table, to keep a roof over their heads, to provide a good life for their children. 400,000 people from across the state joined together to say that all Michiganders deserve better. And they told us loud and clear that they were tired of waiting on legislative action for relief and wanted the people to vote on this policy. These hardworking people diligently followed the process outlined and enshrined in our Constitution. They wanted a strong paycheck for themselves and their families. And we adopted those provisions 78 to 28. This bill, 1171, is an attack on those hardworking people in Michigan. There's a lot of damage that these bills will do to the people of our state. It damages our economy. When we pay a livable wage, we celebrate the dignity of work. We get people off of government assistance. Two principles that I hear talked about all the time in this chamber. Raising people's wages do that. And it gives them hope and a path for a stable financial future, something we all want. So, being a math person, I wanted to calculate out what it was like for somebody today. So working full-time at the current minimum wage doesn't even bring a working family out of poverty. $9.25 times 40 hours a week times 52 weeks is less than $20,000 a year. That's with no breaks. That's not getting any vacation, because most of them don't get paid vacation as well. $12 an hour a year is less than $25,000 a year. That's 35% of what we all make. And that's working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. And if those wages continue to stagnate, as they will over the next decade under this bill, the value of those wages will fall year after year. One job should be enough. It should absolutely be enough for a family to survive. This bill will leave families struggling to get out of poverty, leaving them even further behind. There's a living wage calculator that MIT puts out, and it has all these different parameters. You have 2 adults, 1 child, 2 children, things like that. But for a 2-parent household with 1 child, today, they would need to be making $12.44 an hour to meet their financial obligations. Not a decade from now. I didn't think that was funny. And those figures aren't about living in luxury. Those are based on basic needs to be able to pay for those needs to survive. Groceries, health care, rent or a mortgage, daycare, prescription drugs. So many things that we take for granted. People cannot pay their bills because they do not earn a livable wage. And what does that do to some of our workers? They're always looking out for the next job. I have had countless constituents, and actually even some that aren't from my district, they come to my town halls because they want to talk. They are elderly couples afraid to die because of their children in their 40s and 50s that are in group homes or need additional service, direct care provider support. Those workers are constantly looking to change jobs, to go work for McDonald's or to go work for Target or go to work for another company. And what does that do? That leaves our most vulnerable citizens without care, a constantly revolving door. We are going to hurt the most vulnerable citizens again too, because they can't get stable workers in those environments when we keep them at these low wages. So the other point of this is that this is good for our economy. When you put money in people's hands, they spend it. It creates jobs. It's one of the most basic pro-growth economic strategies we have. You know, the free market doesn't work for everybody. It works when you have a restaurant, it works when you have a retail, but it doesn't work when you are a daycare provider or when you are a direct service care provider for elderly people or people with developmental disabilities. And you know, it's really, really easy, I think, for most of us here in this chamber to put ourselves in the shoes of business owners or comfortably middle-class people. But put yourself, just think about it for a minute, put yourselves in the shoes of that struggling mom, single mom, trying to get through the day, trying to get her kids to daycare, trying to get them to school, and only earning $9 an hour. Think of that mom. Think of that dad. Single dad trying to hold down the fort. Think of that college student. My first job, I didn't make minimum wage either until I actually graduated from college. My very first job was as a waitress. I lasted 2 hours. It was at a pancake house, right? I hardly got any tips at all, and I actually was a good server. And I knew right then and there this wasn't a fair system for people. So when people earn, they spend, they save, they take care of themselves, they prosper, and our state prospers. And I shouldn't have to remind anyone in this chamber that that's what our state needs. We need people in jobs, one job, where they're contributing to the great economy of this state. So we are denying a better life for those hardworking people. We're denying ourselves and the state economic opportunity. Because when we take care of workers, we take care of our communities, we take care of our families, we take care of those who suffer from disabilities or are in serious need of care. And we take care of our future. The great people of the state of Michigan sent us here to represent them when they cannot speak for themselves. But when hundreds of thousands joined together in support of the original ballot initiative, and we voted to support it, a public trust was formed. And those people made their voices clear. It's our duty to listen to them and not gut this bill. So I urge my colleagues to vote no on the shameful bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.